Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Stella Inamiti, and the sign language interpreter is Courage Ogeriaki. Let's begin with the headlines. 2025 Agricultural Survey shows food production increase nationwide. World Bank projects 3.8% growth for sub-Saharan African economies by year end. INEC chairman bows out after 10 years in office. Thanks for joining us. The 2025 Agricultural Performance Survey reveals that despite numerous challenges, the country's food production has increased nationwide. However, challenges such as high input costs, adverse weather and insecurity persist. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
These are agricultural researchers and professionals from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria under the auspices of the Directorate of National Agricultural Extension Research and Liaison Services. They are here to present their findings from the survey of the 2025 wet season farming.
25 edition, like those before it, underscores the enduring partnership between the university and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in supporting agricultural policy and planning with credible data.
The survey indicates that rice production increased by 9.1 million tons in 2024 to 9.4 million tons in 2025, with Niger State leading in production. Maize production was recorded at 11.4 million tons compared to 11.2 million tons in 2024, with Kaduna State recording the highest production. Sorghum production increased by 6 million tons, millet 1.55 million tons, and cowpea stood at 4.28 million tons. National yam production is projected to rise by 2.2 million % and cassava production is estimated to reach 6 million tons.
We shall institutionalize the dry season agricultural performance survey as a complement to the wet season APS, ensuring that national agricultural planning becomes year-round, data-driven exercise.
The report also covers livestock production and fisheries, as well as challenges associated with mechanization and the cost of production. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
INEC chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu has concluded his second tenure as INEC chairman today. After 10 years in office, Professor Mahmood Yakubu handed over to INEC National Commissioner May Agbamuche Mbu as acting INEC chairman, pending the appointment of a new INEC chairman by the president.
Predictable movement by INEC National Commissioners. Mahmood moves in at 3:05 p.m. His usual smile not scarce on the mien, accompanied by pleasantries. As the tradition of such meetings, only the INEC chairman's opening remarks open for media consumption. First part of the speech, progress report on the continuous voter registration exercise and other major transformations. But the second part was what took many off their feet.
Having been privileged to serve the Commission for 10 years, with only a few more weeks to serve, I have taken a decision and conveyed same. In the interim, I am handing over to one of the most senior national commissioners by date of appointment. So, Commissioner May, it is my pleasure to hand over to you formally and officially as the acting chairman of INEC. Thank you.
I pledge to uphold the integrity of the Commission and work with utmost professionalism, dedication, and in unity to ensure that we continue the success and growth of the Commission.
Will our salaries be paid before the 23rd of each month again? Will we be able to get our staff buses on the road? These are questions that you have left me.
Coming out from the door, he first walked in November 9, 2015, farewell to a building, being friendly to him 10 years, walking down staircase that offered him 10 years of exercise, then walking out from a premises that reminds him of the national assignment. Mahmoud Yakubu, professor of history, also made history at INEC. First INEC chairman to serve twice as the chairman of the commission, talking about 10 years. But within these 10 years, a lot happened. I'm not talking of electoral reforms and other issues. I'm talking of what happened, transpired within the 10 years on the social media platform against Mahmoud Yakubu. Rumors of his death, rumors of ill health, and rumors of sack. Several times on the social media, but he survived all of that and today successfully ended his tenure as the INEC chairman. Mie Ogede, NTA News.
2 years after the Hamas attack that ignited the war in Gaza, world leaders on Tuesday issued a renewed call for the release of Israeli hostages. They emphasized that the freeing of the hostages is a crucial step towards ending the ongoing conflict in Gaza, Israel, and the wider region. Comfort Fashion reports.
Two years after the conflict between Israel and Hamas began, international leaders are renewing calls for an end to the fighting. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in a statement delivered by UN spokesperson Alexandra Vellucci in Geneva, reiterated his demand for the immediate release of hostages seized during the October 7th attacks on Israel and for a cessation of hostilities in Gaza, Israel, and the surrounding region.
I have said it time and again, and I'm repeating it today with even greater urgency. Release the hostages unconditionally and immediately.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz stressed the imperative of immediate release of all hostages and warned of a new wave of anti-Semitism in Germany. French President Emmanuel Macron echoed France's call for the release of all hostages and for a swift ceasefire. He emphasized the need for unity in combating anti-Semitism and building a lasting peace. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese acknowledged the atrocities committed by Hamas and welcomed US President Donald Trump's proposed peace plan. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni characterized October 7th as one of the darkest days in history, while also acknowledging a real possibility of ending this war at present. Irish Deputy Prime Minister Simon Harris, also holding the Foreign Affairs portfolio, stated that a window now exists to end this unimaginable suffering for both Israelis and Palestinians. According to official Israeli figures, the October 7th attack resulted in the deaths of 1,219 people, primarily civilians. Militants also took 251 people hostage in Gaza, of whom 47 remain captive, including 25 the Israeli military says are dead. Israel's retaliatory military campaign in Gaza has resulted in at least 67,160 fatalities, according to the health ministry in the Hamas-run territory, a figure the United Nations considers credible. Comfort Fashion, NTA News.
Members of the ECOWAS Ministerial Ad Hoc Committee on the Rotation of Statutory Appointees are meeting in Abuja to review a proposal from the ECOWAS Commission towards producing a guideline that is equitable and balanced for consideration by the Council of Ministers. Calvin Ebunwai reports.
ECOWAS statutory appointees are essentially heads of ECOWAS institutions. Their appointments are tenured, with the current crop of officers due to leave office in 2026. The proposal from the Commission outlined the guidelines for filling the vacancies, but to ensure fairness, equity, and balance, the document is up for review at this meeting of 8-member High-Court Committee chaired by Nigeria's Minister of State Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, who emphasized Nigeria's commitment in protecting the chances of small countries in the sub-region to have a shot at the highest offices at ECOWAS institution. That, she noted, will not only create a sense of belonging, but advance the core value and objective of integration.
Nigeria, as a long-standing and committed member state, played a significant role in shaping and supporting the institutional reforms which culminated in the current and more streamlined structure. Excellencies, these reforms were aimed at reducing operational costs, at optimizing administrative efficiency, and also enhancing the effectiveness and impact of ECOWAS programs across the region.
To facilitate this process, Council established this 8-member ad hoc committee comprising of the republics of Benin, Côte d'Ivoire, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria, Senegal, and Togo, to review the proposed allocation of the Commission.
Among the positions to be filled are those of President, Vice President, and Commissioners of the ECOWAS Commission, judges of the Community Court of Justice, the Directors General of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GABA, and the West African Health Organization, WAHU. The rotation of statutory appointees at the ECOWAS Commission follows a principle of rotation among member countries for their representation in executive bodies as stipulated in the legal texts and regulations of the regional organization, with a non-renewable 4-year term. The proposals resulting from this meeting will be submitted to the approval of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government in December. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
The World Bank projects that sub-Saharan African economies will grow by 3.8% by the end of 2025. This projection follows the African Development Bank's approval of a $500 million loan to support Nigeria's economic growth. Comfort Fashion has details.
Sub-Saharan Africa's economy is poised for a robust performance in 2025, with the World Bank now forecasting a 3.8% growth rate from the initial 3.5% projection. This improved outlook is fueled by stabilizing foreign exchange and inflation, coupled with supportive monetary policies. The World Bank expects this growth to accelerate further, reaching an average of 4.4% annually in the following 2 years, slightly higher than its previous estimate of 4.3%. These optimistic assessments include upward revisions for 30 of the 47 economies in the region, notably including Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Ivory Coast. As a result, real incomes are expected to rise steadily through 2027. Recognizing the need to sustain this growth, the World Bank urges governments to focus on job creation by fostering a more business-friendly environment, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises. Nigeria, a key player in this positive trend, will also receive significant support. The African Development Bank, AFDB, plans to provide a $500 million loan to Nigeria this year, forming part of a $1 billion budget support program designed to strengthen President Tinubu's ongoing economic reforms. This was revealed during the Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja. Bode Oyetunde, AFDB board representative for Nigeria and Sao Tome and Principe, stated that the loan could be approved before the end of 2025. Comfort, Fashion, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. It's time for a break, and we'll be back with more reports. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Preparations are in top gear for the submission of Nigeria's second biennial transparency report and fourth national communication to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The stakeholders' engagement in Lagos, with focus on data planning and assessment, is organized by the National Council on Climate Change in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme. Charles Alpha reports.
Nigeria, as a signatory to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement, is required to submit a biennial transparency report, BTR, every 2 years and a national communication every 4 years. The country submitted its first biennial transparency report in 2024 and has commenced preparations for its combined second biennial transparency report and fourth national communication scheduled for submission in 2026. And as part of ongoing efforts, the National Council on Climate Change, in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, is holding a data planning and assessment workshop. The session builds on the technical working groups meeting held in April 2025 this year and aims to strengthen collaboration among stakeholders, assess sectoral data collected so far, and track progress and mitigation, adaptation, and support mechanisms.
The BTR, as document, provides to the convention the status of implementation of all its climate actions to address Article 2 and the enhanced transparency framework of the Paris Agreement.
The benefit here is that we can also leverage on the support, financial and technical support this brings into the country for us to be able to integrate climate change activities and development plans into the country.
These documents are what's expected. Like I said the other time, you shouldn't be absent where you should be present. It's our commitment. I will have to have them.
With commissioners for environment from the states, permanent secretaries, and other key stakeholders in attendance, the workshop is expected to adopt standardized data collection templates and harmonized methodologies to strengthen national climate data management.
Okay, joining us now live via Zoom is the Director General of the National Council on Climate Change, Tenioye Majeko-Dumi, to speak more on the issue. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Now, a stakeholders' data planning and assessment engagement for Nigeria's second biennial transparency report and fourth national communication to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change currently is underway in Lagos. Could you explain what these reports are about and their significance for Nigeria?
Certainly. Thank you so much for having me. And, both our biennial transparency reports and the national communications are official reports that every country that is a party to the UNFCCC must prepare and submit. They serve as part of the global system for tracking how countries are responding to climate change. Just to put it in a nutshell for those who are not climate experts. And so the BTR, which is the Biennial Transparency Report, is a new format that just allows, in a nutshell, the GHG emissions, allows countries to submit their reports every 2 years. Then it tracks things like the progress in implementing your nationally determined contributions, the kinds of supports that country needs to be able to develop their financial, technological, and capacity building supports. And then also domestic arrangements. Whilst the NC4, which is the National Communications, is more of a comprehensive report that countries have been submitting since the early days of the UNFCCC. And it includes, things like the national circumstances of that particular country. For instance, the economic profile, the population. Then it shows the inventory, which is the greenhouse gas inventory of that country. Then the vulnerability and the adaptation assessments. Then also information on the research. So all these little things go about and to create your national communications. And normally the communications are submitted a lot less frequently than the BTR. BTR is usually every 2 years, but the NC4 is submitted less frequently, about every 4 to 5 years. So it allows for a broader picture of a country's climate profile to be, fully enhanced. So, if we now go to why these reports matter for a country like Nigeria, it does mean a couple of things, but I'll just touch on what the important things are, and it increases transparency and accountability for that particular country, because it would demonstrate, for instance, in Nigeria, how Nigeria is meeting our international commitments under the Paris Agreement of the UNFCCC. It also builds credibility and trust in Nigeria's climate actions on the global stage. So these documents are quite important to showcase our readiness to access climate finance, to show our national planning and our coordination within the country and also internationally. And it shows the strength and our data strengthening and capacity building. So pretty much in a summary, these two documents are kind of like the how do I put it now? They're vital tools pretty much for tracking Nigeria's progress in cutting our emissions. And then also they strengthen our national climate governance systems. So it positions Nigeria as a transparent, accountable, and credible actor in the global climate space, in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you so much for that explanation and of course for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Same here. Now moving on. Nigeria, as a party to the Paris Agreement, has officially submitted the nationally determined contribution with an updated and more ambitious commitment ahead of COP30 in Brazil. This NDC is expected to play a pivotal role in aligning national development priorities with long-term climate goals through a roundtable of stakeholders in Abuja. The EU is therefore supporting this process by sharing lessons from their own experience with ambitious climate planning, governance, and transparent systems by strengthening monitoring, reporting, and verification systems, as it will ensure Nigeria can track progress, maintain transparency, and unlock access to international support.
That we have made some considerable achievements since. The progress, I think, also at the European Union across the world has been significant. But it's not to say that there's nothing left to do today, even more than before, as we look at the levels of the achievement of the targets. This remains an important objective.
So, leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, we have transitioned from pledges to implementation. Our recently submitted NDC 3.0 reflects this shift. The NDC 3.0 is bold, data-driven, and aligned with our national priorities. And Mr. President's renewed hope agenda, which promotes economic diversification, energy security, and green growth. Nigeria has pledged to achieve net zero emissions by 2060 as part of its commitment to the Paris Agreement. Through our recently revised nationally determined contributions, NDC 3.0, we have articulated our near-term action plans for reducing emissions and adapting to the impacts of climate change. Just a few weeks ago, we achieved this significant milestone, as we all know.
Now we have a report just reaching us that President Bola Tinubu has accepted Professor Mahmood Yakubu's departure as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission following the expiration of his second term in office. Yakubu was first appointed in November 2015 as the 14th chairman of the commission for an initial term of 5 years. The appointment, which was renewed in 2020, has now expired due to the passage of time. The Federal Project Management Unit of the Appraisal Project and Federal Technical Committee have met to review the project's milestones, impactful interventions, challenges, and lessons learned. Permanent secretaries from the Ministry of Environment, Agriculture and Food Security, as well as Water Resources and Sanitation met at the Ministry of Environment with several director generals and their directors from key MDAs. The National Project Coordinator of Akresal, Abdul Hamid Umar, presented the project's success stories and the proposed 2025 work plan. Chairman and co-chairman of the Federal Technical Committee and other stakeholders believe Akresal has had a positive impact on the 19 northern states affected by land degradation, erosion and soil loss, with vulnerable communities and smallholder farmers empowered through the project's interventions.
Achievements, but more importantly, to deliberate on annual work plan, a blueprint that will guide our actions in the coming year.
As co-chairman of this committee, I am particularly proud of the integrated multi-sectoral approach that Akresal embodies.
We are rolling with the 50 by 2030 initiative, where focus is on agricultural data collection
As we speak, our people are on ground to ensure that is done. We have commenced the development of digital precision agriculture at the Extension Department and Land Department of the Ministry of Agriculture.
The National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the National Insurance Bureau of Statistics to enhance healthcare delivery in Nigeria. The partnership, built on 4 pillars, aims at providing data-driven healthcare that addresses the specific needs of Nigerians. This collaboration, they say, aligns with President Bola Tinubu's directive to expand health coverage and improve healthcare outcomes in Nigeria. And by leveraging data, the NHIA and MBS hope to create more efficient and effective healthcare system.
As the custodian of official services, MBS reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to data privacy, to confidentiality and integrity throughout the collaboration. We will adhere to the highest ethical standard, statistical standard, guaranteeing that the public and our development partners can trust the resulting figures.
And we have come to the end of the news. I am Stella Inamiti and Courage Ugheriaki, the sign language interpreter. Thanks for watching.